Hey guys, so today I wanted to do a video about university, and it's sort of a goal of mine to do more videos about education. It is something that I'm involved with at the moment with studying a second degree and things like that. So I do want to talk a bit more about education, but in a way that everyone can be interested in it, not just people who are in education at the moment. This video is about who should go to university, who is it for, is it worth it, and all those things. I feel like it's quite an important step in your life to go to university. I feel like when you're just out of high school and you have to go to university suddenly, seems like it's the only option sometimes, and it feels like it's the one thing to do as a natural step in life, I guess, and it's what most people tell you that you should be doing. As someone who has been to university from the age of 18 to 22 and now from the age of 24 up until whenever I finish, I want to tell you my thoughts, because I do feel personally, I do think university is important. I personally feel like it's something great if the education that you get is good. So I'm gonna assume all universities are good. And personally, my first experience with my university in Spain wasn't good. I didn't like that, and I sort of regret getting that degree. Not really, but I regret getting that degree there. So I'm gonna assume all universities are equally good for this video, just because that's just another topic. So with that assumption, I'm someone who loves education. I love university. I think going to university isn't only to progress in your career, is just about learning and having more knowledge, and I am someone who loves to have more knowledge. So I am someone who really enjoys just learning things and getting to know different things. Going back to what I was saying, university isn't just for one thing, you can go for many different reasons. Now I have one bachelor's degree, I'm getting a second bachelor's degree, and I'm hoping to do a master's and a PhD at some point. That's my ideal right now. So again, I am someone who loves university for myself, but at the same time, and here's where the controversy comes and where all the different opinions come, I don't think university is for everyone, and I don't think everyone should go to it just because it's the normal thing to do, it's the common thing to do. Now, who should go and who shouldn't? That's very complicated to say straight away, and I feel like even if you want to study something that doesn't really need a degree, if you want to go for learning, you should go, and it's you in the end who should say if you want to go to university or not. But because I'm making this video and because I'm trying to share my opinion with you, I will say I think degrees which are a lot more creative are not really necessary of a degree, even though you can learn a lot and you can obviously learn different things. From the point of view of someone right after university trying to find a job in a creative field, I think the person who has learned by himself, by herself, is not going to be in a lesser position than the one who has been to university. I don't think for creative jobs university degrees are that important, and I will say that as well with journalism, which is what I studied back in Spain. Up until my most recent job, no one cared that I studied journalism, and even though one of them was actually in media, people who were above my job, I guess, and people who got hired before me didn't have degrees in media. So I think this was a bit obvious, but if you want to go into creative industries, having a degree is not really that important unless you really want to go. So if you're not sure, then maybe you don't really need it. If you have a portfolio, that's what's gonna count, not your actual diploma, because no one cares. I haven't shown my diploma to anyone ever, so really it hasn't been useful at all. Now the second degree that I'm studying is in mathematics and physics, which is going into sciences. If you're studying something in the STEM fields, I do think having a degree is important, and you can't really do any of those jobs without a degree. So if that's what you want to do, then you definitely need a degree. And if you don't want to get a degree, if you don't want to go to university, but you do want to do something in science, then that's going to be a bit more complicated, and you're going to have to be very specialized in something else that you might be able to do by yourself, but it might be very difficult to get jobs. If we're talking about humanities, that's the most complicated one, I think. Studying humanities is something you do because you love it. You want to learn about it. It's not something you go for because of a job afterwards. If you study literature, it's not just because you want to be an English teacher or a researcher. It's because you love that topic. There are different ways that you can get to those jobs without studying a degree or without studying that specific degree. I also really want to talk about going to university when you're not 17. Turns out you can go to university anytime you want. You don't have to go right after high school. You can go when you're 20, when you're 25, when you're 30, or even older. If you're 17, 18 and you're not sure what to do, here's my piece of advice based on going to university and studying something you don't like just because you're forced into going to university. My advice here is wait a year, wait 2 years. A lot of people take gap years and that's not something that's common in Spain, so no one really does it. Everyone in Spain just goes to university straight away. That's what you do. If you don't, then you're a failure. But in other parts of the world, it's very common to take a gap year, and I feel like that's the best option because it gives you time to think about what you really want to do. When you come out of high school, you have all these ideas and all these things that teachers have told you to do, and you've studied different subjects, and that's the idea that you have of life, of the world, and it might not be realistic to your own personality. So my advice is take a gap year, take 6 months off, a year off, 2 years off, however long you need to figure out what you want to do. I did journalism, which is something I hated, because my last year I had a few classes that I liked and I was suddenly like, this is what I like, I'm liking this at the moment, so that's what I'm gonna go into, and stopped thinking about my personality. And for some reason, science, which is something that I liked ever since I was like 5 or 6 years old, I suddenly thought that's not what I was gonna go into just because of a few things and a few teachers. So you are really influenced by high school and your teachers and your classmates, and I think you need time for yourself to figure out what you really want to do. And that only happens if you take a gap year. So if you're not sure, please do that. I know a lot of people maybe in your life are not going to be happy about it. Maybe your parents are not going to understand, but you have to make them understand that that's the only way you're going to figure out what you want to do. And it's not saying no to university, it's saying maybe if that's what I want to do. Also, you might feel like you don't want to go to university, and 5 years later you're like, maybe I did. Well, you can go to university. I'm going to university now. I'm 25 and I'm gonna finish my first year of another degree. So you can do it whenever you want. It's not really too late, and that's something that it's taken me a while to realize, that it's not too late to study something different for learning purposes or for job purposes in the future. I really hope this video was helpful to any of you. If it was, please let me know in the comments, and if you have questions, comments, opinions, please don't be mean in the comments if you don't have the same opinion as me, but you can let me know if you want. And that's gonna be everything for today. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys later with another video. Bye!